Oh my god, I didn't realize the version 1.7 live stream ended. My god, what a snooze fest that was. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Now, I get this is the patch before version 2.0 comes out, and there's a lot of promising things coming for version 2.0, or at least that was stated in the previous Dev Talk live stream talking about version 2.0. This update is 100% a filler update. I know people will say, it's not a filler update. No, it's not. It is definitely a filler update. They are preparing for version 2.0. Do I think it's fine? Do I think it's bad? What do I think of this update? More on that at the end of the video. So let's go ahead and quickly go over everything we're getting in this update first. And we can kind of talk about how these characters will future-proof your accounts or kind of show what the future looks like for Zenless Zone Zero. So let's start off first with the characters, right? Because that's the first thing that was shown in the live stream, really, which is Vivien and Hugo. Also getting the reruns of Jane and Lighter as well. I think we know the better option of those two reruns there. Yes, is Jane, though, because she has some big old yibbies and she has the fattest... Actually, I'm wrong on that. Vivien does. Anyways, guys, genuinely though, I think Lighter is the better option here because while Jane is cool or whatever, right, she really relies on having assault characters on the team and like really doing like big damage on the assault procs and stuff like that. I think Vivien is a much better option, which we'll talk about in a second here and kind of what Vivien does. Lighter is more so better in my opinion than what Jane is, just because of the fact that he gives so many buffs to fire and ice type characters, which Hugo is, and that's kind of weird how they're positioned side by side, isn't it, guys? It's so weird. They position probably the best in slot breaker with Hugo that relies on breaking. Anyways, let's hop into what Vivien does first, guys. Essentially, Vivien is the Kafka Zenless Zone Zero. And what do I mean by this? Guys, she is basically re-procking your anomaly procs on the enemies whenever you're using her blossom attacks, right? You can get it from her being on the field and off the field as well, which is really interesting because I think this will future-proof her and set her up for being more of a sub-DPS role in the future rather than right now where I see her being more of a main DPS. So how she kind of works, guys, go into her aerial state, you use some charge points to put blossoms down the field. These blossom attacks though will be giving you enhanced points as well, and this is what's used for her off-field DPS and her off-field damage that she's going to be doing, because essentially whenever you go through your whole burst cycle with her in the air, you get the blossoms out, you get your charge stacks up, you'll be switching off of her, and whenever any of your other allies hits either an EX skill, or if you have an anomaly character on your team and they hit an anomaly proc, you'll be triggering these blossoms while she's off-field, which ultimately triggers her core passive, which triggers a reproc, so to say, on the current disorder or anomaly on the enemy. It'll also be increasing disorder damage and your corrosion damage as well, which is obviously really, really good. But we will go into more details when I release my full guide on Vivien in a couple days from now, so make sure you're subscribed to the channel if you want to see that. Now let's talk about Mr. Hugo Shmugo with the Scythe, okay? Hugo is what I feel like Juran and Harumasa should have been, right? What do I mean by this, right? I think the burst characters, which is what Julian and Harumasa are, you wait for the enemy to break down, then you do your big burst of damage. He is that, but better in my opinion, because not only is he able to help you break the enemy down faster himself, like his whole shtick is doing your big amounts of damage when the enemy is stunned, that you want to get the enemy stunned, and his kit helps him stun the enemy, so you basically trade off some damage for increased impact on attacks. So you're able to stun the enemy quicker. And not only this, guys, he pairs up really well and gets buffs, and you have additional stun characters on the team. So I could even see characters like Trigger and Polkro playing a really big role in this team, considering they are both off-field stun characters. They're enabling him to get the buffs, and also they're helping to stun the enemy while he's on the field doing his main DPS things. But how does his burst work, right? Because whenever you get the enemy stunned and you see their stun meter, right, he gets more damage depending on how much is left of that stun meter, right? And what happens here is whenever you're using an EX skill, you're basically getting an effect called Totalize. And what Totalize is going to be doing, it's basically taking the chunk of the stun bar, reducing it all the way essentially, giving some stun back to the enemy, and now the enemy's back awake, but you do a huge damage proc on the enemy based off of how long the enemy is stunned. So this works really well with characters or stunners that keep the enemy stunned for longer. The longer the enemy stunned, the better return you're going to get. So characters like Lighter are going to help here because he increases the amount of time the enemy stunned. So like I said, Lighter going to be really, really good for him there. Also, he does help with this as well in keeping the enemy stunned longer, but that is the whole premise of his kit, and this is how I feel like these burst characters should have been. I can definitely see the step away they've taken from the current burst characters and really built upon that, and I love to see it. I really do hope Julian and Harumasa do get buffs in the future to kind of play more similarly to how he kind of plays right now. I do think they need that to stay relevant, but that's all we have for the characters, guys. Honestly, I think the biggest part of the update for me is the characters. I don't really consider characters content because you have to pull for these characters. It's not available to you for free unless you're actually doing pulls for these characters. So while yes, I do like Vivien, I do like Hugo, I like Vivien a lot more because she's a cutie patootie, but other than that, guys, this is the highlight of the update in my opinion, because everything else we got was story, which we normally get. We have events as well, and then we have some quality of life, which let's be honest, it was kind of minimal with the quality of life. But the events, guys, they released a new event, guys, and it's going to be a flower event. This flower event is you're basically making bouquets of flowers for customers. This seems bar for bar on par with one of the most boring events we got in Honkai Star Rail, that being the bartending event. If you played through Honkai Star Rail, you know how dog shit that stupid bartending event was. This seems the same exact way, and I am not enthusiastic at all about doing this event. I swear to God, if I had to sit here for 5 hours, I might just delete the YouTube channel. I'm not gonna lie, guys. Like, it is down bad. I do not like this event at all. I think it is dumb. I think it's just gonna waste your time, in my personal opinion. I don't like this event. As far as the other events we got, though, we're getting ranked Fall Guys, which I think could be really fun. I think Fall Guys is one of the best events they've added. I think just keep adding events with Bang Boos. I think that's all you have to do. Events with Bang Boos, absolutely amazing. We love it. Ranked Bang Boos now you have something to work for it and something to compete towards. I love it. I think this is probably the best event of the update, honestly. Other than that, though, we had the Sando event, guys, where you build sandwiches for customers and then give them their sandwiches. We also have a picture event as well, where we take pictures of our little friends and stuff like that. And then we have a training event, which we just basically, you put characters in these little things, and then after a certain amount of time, it finishes, and that's all you really do with that. There's no gameplay really involved with this. All the events here, except for the ranked Fall Guys, pretty fucking ass to me. I'm not gonna lie. I think they could have done much better with the events here, especially since we are going to be having 2.0 come soon, and that's going to have so much content. At least give us a fun event to do before that, because genuinely, I do not think the flower event in the slides is going to be fun at all. And that's really it, guys, because like for the quality of life, we basically get to lock our disk drives up after they've been in the discarded state. Hey, good, I guess, good, right? Yeah, I think a lot of this stuff is waiting for 2.0 to be realized, because 2.0 seems like they are changing this game almost in its entirety. 2.0 to me seems like the version 1.4 we had. Version 1.4 changed a lot of things about Zenless Zone Zero and made it better. I feel like 2.0 is going to do that, but I feel like this event is genuinely going to kill the game off a lot more. And not only that, guys, is Xbox players are getting access to this game really, really soon, and think of how many players are coming in to play from the Xbox system itself with this dog shit update. I get that they want to introduce the Xbox players before version 2.0 launches, because that'll be a huge patch for them. You don't want to release them at 2.0. You want to build up hype in this version right here, and then they all come on version 2.0 and start playing or whatever, or continue playing. But I don't think this is the way to do it. I think you need better events. I think the Bang Boo event's fun. I think it'll be great for Xbox players. I think it'll be great for most players that like the Bang Boo event. I don't think the flower event's it, especially if it's sluggish like the bar event was from Honkai Star Rail. All the other events are kind of the same trash we've gotten rinsed and repeated. I really hope that version 2.0 blows my expectations out of the water. My expectations for 2.0 are already pretty high. With how this update is right now, I think it needs to be built upon that, because I think a lot more players are going to leave the game because of this update. I get that we're getting a Void Hunter coming in the future in version 2.x and beyond, right? You get one of the things from Genshin Archons from every version patch, right? You get the same thing for Honkai Star Rail. You get the same thing here too, right? So, I mean, like, that's to be expected. I think version 2.0 will be a banger. But now I want to shift over to how these characters, Hugo and Vivien, kind of set up for the future, right? I think we can already see this with Vivien. They've already talked about wanting their character to have a more on-field presence. That being if you have support. I think this enables, I think Vivien, for that matter, enables your other characters to have a more on-field presence, because she's doing off-field damage. She's off the field and able to do damage and do the blossom procs on the enemy while she's on the field, which is really, really good, and she's a main DPS at that. So I was very surprised. I genuinely thought that she was just going to be a full sub DPS and play kind of like how Trigger plays maybe, or maybe how like Astrial plays, so I'm very surprised, and I love to see it that she's a main DPS that mixes in sub DPS elements. Hugo, for that matter, is really building upon what those burst type DPS should be. I feel like for a lot of the other, I feel like for Zhuyan and Haramasa, their whole burst window thing is cool, but you really need to be, like, you have to be technical to do that stuff, right? So that's why people think that Haramasa is bad. That's why people think that Zhuyan shit too, because they cannot fully utilize combos to get the maximum damage out. And I think that's where Hugo really shines at, is because he will open that door up to these I would say less skilled players, right? Because you basically go in, you get his totalized state off, they're already kind of broken still, and then you continue from there, right? Now, I'm not saying that this Honestly, you know what this seems like to me? I feel like they are kind of lowering the skill ceiling of this game, which I don't know if it's necessarily a good thing or a bad thing, but it seems like overall the skill ceiling for this game is lowering each and every patch. So if I were to put a graph right here, guys, and kind of talk about what I mean by this is where the game started at, right? I think the skill ceiling for the game started about right here. It started rising up, Miyabi? I think after Miyabi, it started going down, because I think they're really trying to appeal to a more casual audience with the combat and stuff like that. So, like, I would say the game was, I wouldn't even say, it's hard for me to say because the game was just oonga boonga back here. It's hard to say what they're doing, guys. Let me know in the comment section below what you think. Do you think they're lowering the skill ceiling? Because from the kits of these characters, it seems like the overall skill ceiling for the game is lowering. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. What did you think of the live stream? I thought it was pretty sleeper, pretty mid, but maybe you have some different thoughts. So let me know that. And that's going to do it for today's video, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't already for ZZZ content in the future, because I do plan on posting more of it, more than HSR, because HSR is in the fucking shitter right now. Anyways, that's gonna do it, guys. See you later, and bye-bye.